Hi, my name is Davis. I'm a senior at Grace, and this is my story. So I was raised in a Christian family, to two wonderful Christian parents. But growing up, I ended up spending a lot of time being alone throughout pretty much all of elementary school. I would kind of just move from friend to friend. So I grew up very lonely. But once I got to seventh grade, I ended up actually just kind of finding the biggest group of people and kind of hiding in them so that I didn't have to really fight to make any friendships or anything. But once COVID came, about halfway through eighth grade, we were quarantined for a year. Half of my grade would come on one day, and then the next day the other half would come. So that big group that I had to hide in was gone at this point, and so I would walk to class alone. I would eat lunch alone. I would do everything just totally by myself, and this ended up bringing just the darkest part of my life. A lot of depression ended up coming in, a lot of anxiety. It's the end of the summer, and I'm kind of going into 10th grade with the mindset of if it gets bad enough, I can just end it all. And so it's orientation. I'm volunteering as a part of leadership, and there are two girls who end up peer pressuring me into joining choir class. Looking back on it, it seems like the worst idea ever, but I don't know why I did it, but I ended up finding some of the most kindness and welcomeness that I had ever felt in my life. Back in 11th grade, we were on junior retreat on Catalina, and I was on the beach with one of my friends, and he asked me to read my Bible for the first time, not for a homework assignment, not out of obligation, but just to open the Word and to see what God has to say to us. And he ended up recommending Ephesians, which is all about just the person that you could become in Christ and just seeing who you could be. And I guess that version of Davis that I could be ended up kind of just calling out to me on that lifeguard tower, and it lit a little bit of a fire inside of my heart. What helped me kind of find Christ and be able to have him as that friend that I needed was it was the Bible. I started reading and I started learning about him, and I started to talk to him, and it was that just made me feel so supported. And now because of that, I can never be alone. This is when I started coming to Calvary. I joined a small group. I started volunteering in the special abilities ministry, and it has just been such a good thing in my life. Because of anxiety, I had never been able to go to summer camp before, but this was the first year that my passion for Christ kind of outweighed that Wednesday of camp. They ended up giving a sermon, and they talked about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and the fiery furnace. And what happened is that the three men were thrown into the fire, and yet, because they had Christ in the fire with them, they were still allowed to be refined, but the fire couldn't hurt them. And so what I ended up doing is I started to walk through the rest of that week just trying to be as hand in hand with Christ as possible. I started to sing during praise. I started being in my Bible. I started to pray more, and it was miraculous. It was like the anxiety was completely gone. I barely felt any of it for the rest of the week. And so I've just felt so intensely the goodness of God through that healing of anxiety. And so it's been really good.